Welcome to Sunday's first video. Firstly, China Taiwan US tensions, sudden escalation of tensions in the Pacific Ocean. Nancy Pelosi, a US House Speaker, is due to start visit four Asian countries today. Will she visit Taiwan or not? If it happens, if she tries to visit Taiwan, what is going to happen? What is going to be China's response? China has mobilized its military to Fujian province, just 100 kilometers away, around 100 kilometers away from Taiwan. What is happening there? Why there is sudden escalation of tensions between China, US and Taiwan? Are we going to see a new war like we saw start of a war between Russia and Ukraine a few months ago? Russia has been warning NATO against expanding into countries close to Russia. But NATO kept on expanding, and ultimately we saw that Russia attacked Ukraine. Could similar things happen here as well in the Pacific Ocean? Secondly, we have a new story from Somalia where a video has been published by an armed group. The video shows trainings, firing practice, operations of this armed group, and fighters of this armed group can be seen firing at pictures of Ethiopian PM Abiy. This group is not Al-Shabaab. We know that Al-Shabaab has attacked Ethiopian territories, and in recent days there have been heavy fighting, there have been heavy clashes on Ethiopia-Somalia border. This is another group. We have details for you. Thirdly, GERD, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. It seems that Ethiopia has completed the third filling of this dam just 2 days ago. Egypt wrote a letter to UN Security Council asking the UNSC to intervene, but Ethiopia kept on conducting the third filling, not officially announced, but it seems that Ethiopia has completed the third filling. Details for you. And lastly, viewers, we have learned that preliminary direct talks between Tigray and Ethiopian governments, Tigray regional government and Ethiopian federal government, are going to start in coming days before Kenyan election due to be held at the start of next month, August. Reportedly in Nairobi, talks will be held. Agreement has been reached regarding the venue. We have some details for you. Firstly, viewers, Taiwan is a small island in the Pacific Ocean. At the juncture of East and South China Sea, it is situated. A self-ruled island, claims to be a country, unrecognized by most of world, and China sees it as part of China, as a breakaway province of China. We know that US and some other powers back Taiwan. Taiwan, though it's a small nation, but Taiwan is known for producing quality computer chips, and Taiwan's computer chip producing industry is one of the biggest industries in the world. That is why Taiwan matters a lot for the world, for Western world, for the US as well. And Taiwan and other nations in South China Sea, they have been accusing China that China wants to expand its influence in South China Sea. And these nations like Australia, like South Korea, Malaysia and others, they've been trying to form alliances with the US. US backs some of these countries which are against alleged Chinese maritime expansion into the Pacific Ocean. US backs Taiwan, and Nancy Pelosi, US House Speaker, today on Sunday is due to depart for visits to 4 Asian countries. She has not disclosed her destination so far, but for the almost past 1 week, it is being speculated that she could travel to Taiwan. And China has announced that Taiwan is a red line. If anyone tried to cross the red line, all options will be used, including military options. 2 days ago, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Joe Biden, US President, held a telephone call, and reportedly China warned the US against Nancy Pelosi's likely visit to Taiwan. Will she visit Taiwan? That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, China has mobilized its forces to Fujian province, just around 100 kilometers away from Taiwan. And on Saturday, China conducted live fire drills in the waters between Taiwan and Chinese coast of Taiwan's coast. China has mobilized its military equipment as well to Fujian province. So tensions are running high. Nancy Pelosi is due to depart in coming hours. Will she visit Taiwan or not? That remains to be seen. We know that Russia in the past warned NATO, US-led NATO, against expanding into countries close to Russia. And Russia openly opposed Ukrainian attempts to join NATO. But NATO, led by US, tried to encircle Russia. Some experts say that is why we saw the start of Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia attacked Ukraine a few months ago. Now another global conflict is looming. I think world power should behave in a mature manner. Otherwise, these conflicts have far-reaching consequences, especially for the poor countries of the world. We know that after the start of Russia-Ukraine conflict, suddenly food prices rose and Africa is suffering. Poor countries, underdeveloped, developing countries are suffering because of rising food prices. And if a new conflict starts between China and Taiwan, supported by EU and US, it could be a disaster for underdeveloped and developing economies of the world. Let's see, will Pelosi visit Taiwan or not? That remains to be seen. It is being said that she might not visit Taiwan because of Chinese threats. She is expected to travel to Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan. We'll update in coming videos about Nancy Pelosi's visit to these countries. Secondly, we have a new story about an armed group operating in Somalia, which has been seen practicing firing at PM Abiy Ahmed's pictures. The PM Abiy is Ethiopian Prime Minister, and this armed group is based in Puntland, federal member state of Somalia. The armed group is based in some mountainous areas, not close to Ethiopia, but reportedly this group has been recruiting fighters from Ethiopia. Name of this group is Islamic State of Somalia, ISS. ISS, mainly based in Puntland region of Somalia, has shared a documentary, around 20-minute long documentary about ISIS trainings, operations, and in that documentary, ISIS fighters can be seen firing at PM Abiy's pictures and US President Joe Biden's pictures. You can see the pictures on your screen. These are screenshots captured from the documentary, the film released by this group, which is mainly based in Galgala Mountains in Puntland region of Somalia. Now, ISIS, it's not a huge armed group in Somalia. It's a rival group of Al-Shabaab. Main extremist force in Somalia is Al-Shabaab. And Al-Shabaab and Islamic State are rivals. Islamic State has just a few hundred fighters, it is said. But Al-Shabaab is in control of 1/3 of Somalia. It has thousands of fighters in possession of modern weapons too. And Al-Shabaab has already attacked Ethiopia. In the last 10 days, we have seen fighting on Ethiopia-Somalia border, incursions into Ethiopia from Somalia. And yesterday, Ethiopia conducted airstrikes on Al-Shabaab positions in Baku region. So tensions are rising on Ethiopian eastern and southern borders, that armed groups are trying to breach Ethiopian defenses. ISIS is far away from Ethiopian border, but this video shows that PM Abiy, Ethiopia are targets for Islamic State Somalia. That is why their fighters were seen shooting at PM Abiy's pictures. Ethiopia is facing now problems in terms of defending its border with Somalia. It's a long border, and it's very difficult to man the entire border. How will Ethiopia defend its border? That remains to be seen. Ethiopia needs the support of Somalia as well. Will Somalia's new government of Hassan Sheikh actively collaborate with Ethiopian government of PM Abiy in Ethiopian government's attempt to defend its borders? That remains to be seen. Thirdly, we have a new story about GERD, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a controversial regional project, though it is being built in Ethiopia, but we know that Sudan and Egypt, they have been opposing the construction of this dam. They want a legally binding agreement about fillings and operations of the dam, but despite several rounds of talks, no agreement could be reached. African Union and some other players, they tried to mediate, but no agreement could be reached. And Ethiopia is busy filling the dam for the third time. Filling the dam started this rainy season. Last year, despite international pressure, Ethiopia completed the second filling of the dam. And last year, when the filling was underway, Ethiopian government was under serious pressure from the West, from the US, to stop this filling and to talk to Egypt and Sudan for a legally binding agreement. Ethiopia did not give in to that pressure last year. Last year, second filling completed, and this year, third filling started a few weeks ago. Again, we saw statements from the EU, from the US, warning Ethiopia, trying to stop Ethiopia from this third filling. But reportedly, Ethiopia has completed the third filling of GERD, though not officially announced, but it is being said that Ethiopia has successfully filled the dam for the third time. And just 2 days ago, Egypt wrote a letter to UN Security Council asking UN to intervene to stop Ethiopia from the third filling. And before that, Ethiopia wrote a letter to Egypt intimating that Ethiopia was conducting the third filling of the dam. International financial institutions did not help Ethiopia when Ethiopia decided to construct this dam. It's an Ethiopian project which was funded by Ethiopians. Ethiopia's position about GERD is very clear. It will never give in when it comes to filling of the dam. And now Ethiopia has signed a contract with Kenya. Ethiopia will sell cheap electricity to Kenya because GERD has started producing electricity. So, GERD is becoming a regional project. Neighboring countries will become dependent upon GERD, like Kenya, like South Sudan, Sudan as well. So, good news for Ethiopians that Ethiopia seems to have completed the third filling of GERD. Lastly, viewers, we have a new story about Tigray peace process, Tigray Ethiopia peace talks. The conflict started in November 2020. It then expanded, it spread into from Tigray into neighboring regions, Amhara, Afar regions. Last year, Tigray forces suffered setbacks and they withdrew to Tigray. Then process of reconciliation started. A truce was announced in March this year and delivery of aid to Tigray was increased. Then a few weeks ago, Ethiopian government formed a 7-member committee of negotiators to talk to Tigray. Tigray also formed a committee of negotiators, though names have not been made public. Tigray, meanwhile, has been saying there must be resumption of basic services in Tigray before the start of talks, and talks should be led by Kenya. African Union must not have a leading role in these talks, and talks should be held in Nairobi, Kenya. 2 days ago, Ethiopian negotiators Ridwan Hussein and Justice Minister said that Ethiopia was ready to talk to Tigray representatives anywhere, anytime, but under the auspices of African Union. Now, what we have learned, viewers, is that talks are about to start in Nairobi, Kenya, before Kenyan election. Kenyan election is due to be held, I think, on the 9th of August. It was being said that talks will start after the election, but now it has been agreed that talks should start. So preliminary meetings are going to start in coming days in Nairobi, Kenya. Both sides have agreed. Though there are several questions unanswered so far, who will have the leading role as mediator? Euro Kenyatta or African Union? And will there be any resumption, partial or complete resumption of basic services before the start of talks? Several questions, but what we have learned is that two sides have agreed that they should at least sit and start the process of talks. Tigray regional government is under pressure in Tigray from opposition groups, the people of Tigray, who say that there must be resumption of basic services before the start of talks. Ethiopian government does not want to completely restore the basic services. So we might see some partial restoration of basic services. Meanwhile, the two sides are ready to sit for talks in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for watching.